Hello, this is obviously FTL. We have Martin.
Why am I here if it's a single player game?
Because we are trying the new project Overdrive, which is a mod. No, we're not. We're here to talk about the Team Fortress 2 upcoming balance changes, and rather than have a black screen...
We've done a podcast episode before, but that was by accident.
Yeah, I'm just going to fly the Crystal A in the background, because the Crystal B is broken, and I'm saving it for a later video, because I don't want to play that and then have to go back to other ships.
But, as we said,
yeah.
what we're here to talk about is Team Fortress 2. On June 20th, Valve put out a blog post on the official blog called Balance Changes, incredibly original titles, talking about upcoming weapon changes they're going to make. These aren't confirmed, these are like what is the current plan is. These are implemented in the game. This is for the upcoming summer update, Pyro, Jungle, Contract 3, whatever it's called. We're gonna rattle through them and offer some, we're gonna be incredibly original video idea. We're gonna talk about balance changes.
I've already mentioned them briefly. Yeah. I haven't actually gone through them. I've said there are balance changes, but I want to do a video with Martin on them, so I'm not going to talk about them. Essentially.
Okay, so remember, this is just purely speculation from someone who is bad, that's not me, and someone who thinks he's not terrible. So,
I think I'm not terrible. I'm just wrong.
I have a lot of these balance changes are done from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah.
So, I have an understanding of sixes, fairly basic sixes and Highlander meta. I don't think Henry does.
No.
I'll explain things.
I have a sort of understanding, but not very much.
I will explain some things. There are some weapon changes, especially for the sniper, that are quite strange. Which you need, because that's what they're balanced around. They're balanced around competitive, because that's what the direction TF2 is going. But maybe that's a discussion for another day. So,
Probably.
Number one. Now, only multi-class weapon change is the panic attack. They say they will have. It's a lovely blog because they say why they want to change things, not just why the actual changes. So, panic attack is being changed because it's least equipped, and it's because you have to load it before you fire it, even though it's your backup weapon, which kind of defeats the point of a backup weapon.
Yeah.
They said their goal here is to make the weapon immediately usable and remove the large burst potential, which is kind of hard to balance.
What they've also said is that essentially they're completely rebuilding the weapon because removing the burst thing that it's got currently means it's no longer the panic attack.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? I really like the panic attack. What do you think about it?
I've never really used it.
I mean, it's been. I think it's on its second or third version. I didn't use the original. I wasn't playing at that time, but I really like the panic attack. Uncle Dane did a good video talking about it, where for the pyro, the soldier, and the heavy, unless you're playing Fat Scout, it's not very good. The normal shotgun is better. For the engineer, it's quite good because your shotgun is your primary weapon, and it gives the engineer really good burst damage potential. It's kind of similar to how the Widowmaker's better. In the same way that the Frontier Justice gives you burst damage, the panic attack gives you burst damage, but in a slightly different way. And yeah. I really like it, especially on the engineer. I don't think it's a good weapon, but it's really fun to use. I think it has some interesting. I like it where it is right now, but it's not a high equipped weapon.
Yeah.
So the new design is it will switch 50% faster. It will fire 50% more pellets, but it will do 30% less damage. So,
in terms of DPS, what is that?
Base shotgun
if you hit with everything, it'll do 70% of 150% damage.
Because the base shotgun let's look it up in the TF2 wiki. I should have the wiki open in another tab. The base shotgun does 80-90 damage at maximum. What's base damage? Base damage is 6 per pellet and fires. How many pellets does it fire? It's 10 pellets at 6 damage per pellet, so it does 60 damage base. if all your pellets hit, that's ignoring damage ramp up and damage fall off. At damage fall off, at 50% it goes down to 3 per pellet, so it's only 30 damage. But it goes up to 90 damage at maximum ramp up.
There it is.
So it's the same thing as the Force of Nature, where it's
Okay,
firing...
it does slightly more damage if you hit with all the pellets.
So it's kind of like the Force of Nature, where the Force of Nature fires more pellets, but does less damage per pellet, resulting in overall less damage.
With this panic attack, if you hit with all of the pellets, it does an additional 5% damage.
Right. Than the base shotgun.
Yes, with 50% more pellets, 30% less damage. That's 105% damage if you hit with all of the pellets.
So it does 66 damage.
I don't know. I just use a calculator.
Is that based on base damage of 60?
No, it's 70 because it does 70% damage. Because it's got minus 30%, but it also does 150% damage because it fires more pellets, and that's a total of 105% damage.
Okay, so
Please don't die.
overall more damage, but less damage.
Slightly, very slightly more.
Okay.
And my oxygen's turned off.
Interestingly, that's the 3 main stats. 2 other stats. It fires a wide, fixed shot pattern, regardless of server settings. So, TF2 has bullet spread for shotgun-based weapons like the scattergun and the shotgun, where they'll form into a random pattern, and then like a certain radius. If you have weapon spread disabled with commands, say in a competitive setting, the pellets form a grid. So, for example, the shotgun fires 10 pellets. It fires 2 pellets down the middle, and the rest of them in a 3x3 grid around it, because there's 10 pellets. That's interesting. What fixed spread? That seems kind of strange. And the final one is shot. I don't understand this. Shot pattern grows with successive shots. I.e., execute while holding down the attack pattern, but resets after you stop firing or reload.
So what I think that means is that if you have the weapon out, right, you're holding down click, you get you're shooting, so it shoots the bullets in a set pattern, but they get further and further apart as you keep firing, right? But as soon as you release the button or reload or something,
it stops doing that.
It resets back to normal, much like revolvers and stuff. Their bullet spread grows, or the first shot, like the Ambassador currently, is straight, and the rest aren't.
Yeah, well, I'll get back to the Ambassador.
But the first shot here is in the set pattern, but successive shots get more and more wild. I think.
I don't. That's
so it's a shotgun, but if you keep firing it, it gets more and more all over the place. It'll be interesting.
I don't understand that, because if you can literally just let go of mouse.
No, I think it will be because obviously if you hold down, you fire at max rate.
Yeah.
If you were to just spam the click, you would do the same.
Right.
So you have. So I imagine it will probably wait with act a bit like other stuff,
like Ambassador cooldown. Because what's the 0.5 seconds between
I don't know.
Like aimed. So with the hit scan weapons, the first shot you fire will always be down the crosshair. It will be 100% accurate. If you're say firing a revolver, you have the stock revolver. You have to wait 0.5 seconds for that before it returns to 100% accuracy. I think that's. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That just seems really redundant. If you can just stop firing and it stops doing that.
No, you'd have to wait. In the same way the Ambassador, you have to go bang, bang. Why?
Is that FTL?
Yeah, the drone shot the shields down. Asteroid comes in, hits the oxygen, and then the Crystal Vengeance goes off and hits their oxygen as well, which is weird. But anyway,
the panic attack. I'm not sure how I feel about this because I really like the current version.
I understand what they mean though. It's not. Yeah. It's not a useful weapon in its current state. Yeah. So they're basically like, we need to rebuild it. So that's what we're doing.
That's true. I only ever play it when I'm playing Fat Scout. I use it with the Fist of Steel because it cancels out the Fist of Steel holster penalty, or if I'm playing Engineer. Even then, I'm often just use the stock shotgun on the Front of Justice. I sometimes just use the panic attack because it's funny.
I don't have any firebombs. Oh no, this isn't that one.
It's Mantis War Camp.
It's not. It's not. I thought it was. It's not.
No. So panic. I don't like. I'm not sure how I feel about these panic attack changes. I think I need to see them in action.
Yeah.
So, I'm just gonna run through. I'm gonna go through class list because I wanted to do this. I want to do the spy last because you have opinions about the spy. So the Sandman.
Yeah. So scout first in case you were stupid.
Yeah, scout, soldier, pyro.
Or not stupid but didn't know anyway.
We'll skip the demo because the demo doesn't have any weapon changes in this blog post, unfortunately.
Scouts first, Martin.
Yes. So the Sandman. How do you feel about the Sandman?
What is it?
It's the baseball bat that stuns.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the changes. I use it.
Okay. I'm asking the current version of the Sandman. What do you think about it?
It's very annoying to get hit by, although you don't see it much actually.
You don't see much. I know in like high up competitive it's banned because it's stupid. Because like taking away someone's ability to fight.
It is very annoying to get hit by it.
If you ever played Overwatch, you'll know a lot about not being able to fight back. Yeah. Sorry.
We know who we're looking at.
Well, all of them, McCree and May, and are they the only two?
Yeah, but McCree has a cooldown on his.
Oh, good. Roadhog's the hook.
They nerfed that.
Oh, did they?
Well, I don't know, but apparently Roadhog isn't a viable class now.
Oh. But no, you still can't attack while you're being hooked.
Oh, they have 2 layers of shield.
When you're being pulled in by the hook, you can't attack.
Can we get back to Team Fortress 2?
Much better going, yeah. So the current Sandman is a bit... It's very, very, very strong. Arguably one of the best scout weapons in the game. Arguably one of the best weapons in the game, full stop. If you're good enough, but it is annoying. It's an annoying weapon to play against. So, this is what they're saying. The feedback about the weapon is that people do not like it because it's silly. It's unfun to play against, and also at long range. So, I'm not sure what the maximum range is, but if you hit someone far enough away, they will be hit with what's called a moonshot, which means they can't move, not slowed down. They can't move. They cannot attack, and they are stunned there completely on the spot for 7 seconds.
Sorry, I just went to Alania sector. Music. Sorry.
So being out of action for 7 seconds completely is not fun, and they said that often comes down to just luck of someone missing a Sandman ball at their intended target rather than actually aiming at you halfway across the map.
I know from using the Sandman, it's very difficult. I mean, you can kind of aim it at close range, but then doesn't stun them. It's very difficult to aim it, really.
So the Sandman is it's very, very strong, but it's pretty polarizing in what it does. But it is very, very good. Understand that it is really good.
If you can use it.
Yeah, if
you're not very good with it, it's not great. But
yeah, it's basically just minus 15 health with no upside. But yeah, if you're good if you're a really good scout, it's really good. So the changes. Long range balls no longer remove the victim's ability to fire their weapon, but it still slows you down. So you can still shoot and stuff, but you're slowed down. They've also updated the achievements for that as well. At maximum range, baseballs do 50% more damage. However, the Sandman baseball only does 15 damage. So congratulations, you are now doing 22 damage at long range rather than 15. That's just... I mean, sure, it's technically an upside, but it's not relevant. The flight time to trigger the maximum range of the Sandman, it's not even a stun anymore, it's a slowdown. It's slowed down by 20%, so it doesn't need to travel as far to hit the 7 seconds of slowdown, and it's, I'm gonna say it, ball regeneration time reduced to 10 seconds from 15 seconds. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
I think it's still good. Like, you're still slowing someone down. And I think that's kind of...
Don't you dare. Thank you. Sorry.
I think it's still good, but It's obviously not as strong as well, but I think it was a bit too strong before. I think does anyone really use the Sandman outside of using it with the cleaver?
Probably.
I sometimes see scouts if they've got a lot of players. If they don't, newer players often use it because it's quite easy to pick up. It's like the second achievement item for the scout. But you sometimes see people who run Criticola Sandman because they hate everyone. I know. That's it. Force of Nature Criticola Sandman. No, that's not a fair combination of weapons. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about Sandman. I like it because I hate the Sandman, but yeah, neither of us play much Scout, so it's kind of I'm kind of on the Sandman changes. Right, next one, the weapon that nobody seems to use, but they've nerfed it, the Bonkatomic Punch. So, I mean, you've agreed with me on this. The current version of the Bonkatomic Punch is really bad.
I wouldn't say it's really bad. It's not brilliant. It's not particularly great.
I would always rather have anything else.
You better win this fight.
I would always rather have a pistol or Mad Milk or something else than Bonkatomic Punch. I think.
Probably,
yeah. But for whatever reason, they decided that the Bonkatomic Punch is too strong. So, they said here, this weapon was designed to allow scouts to pierce hotly contested areas. Okay, that's fine. That's what it's supposed to do. You drink it, you get past the sentry nest, and then you're in their back lines. Congratulations. However, they said, while it does this quite well, it doesn't require enough skill or carry as much as a downside. The whole point of the weapon is that you are sacrificing your pistol, Mad Milk, or even Criticola to have Bonkatomic Punch. Like, the downside, there is no explicit downside on the weapon because the weapon in itself is a downside, if that makes sense.
That's a really good... How would you describe this weapon? Well, it is in essence a downside.
I understand it is useful, but like it is endemic in the same way that putting a shield on a demo man makes him strong in some respects, but you are sacrificing a sticky bomb launcher, and the sticky bomb launcher is amazing. Like, do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going back to by the way, a trend amongst these weapons are that they are kind of being reverted to an earlier version. So, Bonkatomic Punch.
Can we return the Dead Ringer to an earlier version?
Shut up. The original version of the Bonkatomic Punch, the reason the Scout breathes heavily after it wears off is because they never removed those voice lines, because the Bonkatomic Punch used to slow you down after it wore off. I think by like 30%. So you went down to 100% speed for like 5 seconds after it wore off. And they've returned to that. So, apply a slow effect to the player after the phasing wears off, based on the amount of damage they absorbed. So it will last 5 seconds, and it will go up to minus 25% speed at low damage, to minus 65% speed at 200 plus damage. And if you've ever played this game, you'll realise that 200 plus damage is very, very easy to get to, especially if you're using it to get past like sentries and heavies.
Yeah. But on the other hand, actually, I think it will improve it because it will now need skill. Because you get past the sentries, but you're going to need to find a safe spot to stop, let it wear off, and wait out the speed penalty.
That's true. Because you sometimes see. This is the thing I often see with the scouts. What they'll do is that if they'll get into a situation, they'll hide for a moment, drink the Bonkatomic Punch, and then use it to get out, which is kind of like the other half of it. You can use it to get in. You can also use it to get out. And I think it punishes the getting out aspect of it, because it is really annoying. If you're fighting a scout, if you're fighting a scout, he then runs off, and then oh no, I can't attack him anymore. Like, that is quite annoying, and I understand why they did that. What do you think about it? It's a scout nerf, so I'm up for it.
I don't use it, so I don't know. I mean, it makes sense that you now have to plan your route. Because if it runs out in an area with enemies, you are dead. Because if they've been shooting at you, especially sentries, because good players won't shoot at you. To be fair.
Well, they'll be aware of you, but they'll ignore you. If anything, they'll try and like body block you or something.
Yeah, much like you don't shoot at Uber when you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, you always try and, if you can, you always try and body block Ubers. You just kind of stand in the way.
Yeah, but if you let it wear off in a place with a lot of enemies, you will get slaughtered because you will be moving really slowly and you don't have a lot of health. So you'll have to plan your route, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how relevant it will be, but I'm definitely up for it. Like, like you said, it's not a weapon either of us use.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, but so we're going to return to another frequent, another frequent suspect of Patch Note, and that is the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol, which we'll just call the pocket pistol.
I don't even have one of these.
I do. So the original version of this weapon was insane because it gave you immunity to 4 damage, 15 more health, so it brought a scout up to 140 health, so you could be overhealed to 210. I'm not even kidding, you could be overhealed to 210. That's a lot of health, especially for a scout, who is also one of the classes best at reducing damage by jumping. That's kind of the whole point of the scout. You don't have much health, but you have double jumping and stuff to deal with that. Doesn't take full damage, give you 15 more health, but it fired slower, like 25% slower, and when it was active, when it was active or like permanently, you had 20% more damage from fire. This was fine, because if you're a scout fighting a pyro, you're basically dead anyway. Like, that's one of the scout's best class counters, the pyro. And not taking full damage and having more health was amazing. You also had more health to counteract the fire vulnerability.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. It was like arguably the best scout secondary. Like, definitely the best scout pistol. But in gun, I think it was gunmetal, it got nerfed into something completely different. So rather than increasing your max health, it gave you healing and stuff, and it sucked. So they've realized that. So we're keeping with the current stats, but we're buffing them. So the main thing is that if you're supposed to use it as a healing weapon, but since you have a 20% damage vulnerability, and if you're going to be using it at low health, if someone so much as looks at you, you're going to die. And they're trying to deal with that. So the current design is it fires 15% faster, and rather than getting 5 health on a hit, you get 7.
Yeah.
But you only get 9 shots in a clip, so minus 25% clip size.
I mean, I've never used it, but they seem like reasonable.
Yeah,
reasonable.
It definitely seems better. I mean, last time I checked, the current version is fine. The original version, where I only gave you plus 3 health, wasn't great. I mean, it still has the damage I think it still has the damage vulnerability. I think that's the thing that's really killing it. But I think it's one of those weapons where it's fallen so far from grace that any changes they make are basically irrelevant unless they return it to the original version.
I'm not sure it does still have the damage penalty.
Vulnerability, don't you mean?
What did I say?
Damage penalty.
Oh, I meant damage vulnerability.
Because
on the others weapons it says changes, blah blah blah, but this is new design, which is the same thing they put on the panic attack, but
which suggests the panic attack now loads 6 shots and holds them like a regular shotgun.
Yes.
Which defeats the point of the panic attack.
No, it doesn't defeat. It defeats the point of the current panic attack, but they're replacing the panic attack with a new weapon because the current one is pointless. The current one doesn't fulfill the role of a secondary weapon. So what they're doing is they're replacing it with a different thing that.
Yeah.
So it no longer loads like a Becker bazooka. It just fires like a regular shotgun, because that's what's useful. And the same with, I think, the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol. I mean, firing faster, getting health back when you hit for a minus 25% clip size seems pretty good though.
That does actually. I think this looks quite good actually. I like this buff. I think it looks good. I think it's an interesting, definitely a good upgrade for the pocket pistol.
Yeah.
Okay. We actually like one of these weapon changes. Actually, we liked the Sandman changes, didn't we?
Yeah, and I quite like some of the later ones, but.
Okay, so I like some of the ones later as well. So, Criticola.
It's because you don't play Spy.
I play heavy, yeah.
It's because you are a scrub. Don't know how that makes you a scrub. Shut up.
The Criticola. Oh boy, the Criticola. This weapon is disgusting. It's filthy. It's just... Oh. What... Okay, so what if we took one of the strongest classes in the game and gave him an item that allowed him to fulfill all of his class roles, but better? That is the original version. That is what the Criticola does, and it's disgusting because you can two-shot, definitely, possibly one-shot medics, and that's like in competitive when that's what the scout is there to do. That's really good. And what's the... Yeah, you know, it's insane. So they're aware of this, so they've got some changes. Not a complete redesign, just changes. So you no longer take 10% more damage while the effect is active, but it no longer makes you move faster. And you are no longer marked for death when for 2 seconds after it runs out. Instead, each attack while active adds marked for death debuff for 5 seconds. So you drink. As soon as you attack, you then become marked for death.
Yes.
So if someone so much as looks at you, you explode. Because you're taking 35% more damage as a scout.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer this version because it's a bit more punishing. I mean, like...
Also, they remove the speed bonus.
That's true, that's a big deal.
So you don't move faster now.
So
you're easier to hit. So it's easier to take advantage of the fact that they're marked for death.
Was it actually 20%? Was it 10% of 133% the scout's base speed, or just flat 10%? So
the Criticola plus 25% move speed bonus has.
25.
I'm looking at the patch notes. They've removed. I mean, unless they stupid.
Sorry, I don't know why I thought it was 10%. 10% is the damage vulnerability. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know. Yeah. 25%. Yeah, you're gonna say 25% move speed. It's not just good for getting in and out. You can also use it on rollouts as well.
It's just good.
Yeah, it's probably the best scout secondary, I think.
This ship starts without shields.
Is this okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Criticola changes. The Criticola is getting nerfed. That's all that matters.
Yes.
And that weapon deserves every nerf it gets. Right. The Atomizer. Bird Scout is going to become a new meta. I guess you know what Bird Scouts are.
Presumably it's Scouts... no, wait, no. Sorry, I was going to make a joke, but I can't think of it.
Soda Popper. You use the Soda Popper's 5 jumps to become a Bird Scout. Okay. So, the triple jump on the Atomizer is really, really good. It's arguably like the best scout melee. You could make a reasonable case for the Boston Basher and the 3-Rune Blade, but that's not like a high-level setting to build to. So, the Atomizer's triple jump, at the cost of 10 health, with no major downside, due to its... I mean, if you're a scout, are you going to be using your melee weapon in close range?
Probably, because I'm a bad player.
You're not... Yeah, most likely, you're not going to,
It's probably not a good idea.
Like, the scout is good at close range anyway. You don't need it. So you could make a triple jump at the cost of 10 health with no noticeable downside, and they're aware of this. So they're changing it. They say the passive jumping is too strong. So now it's still keeping the same type of thing, but we've seen big reworks. So the triple jump, you can now only triple jump while it's active. That's the big thing. Only triple jump while it's active.
And what that means is that they were like, it's unfair that you don't know. Now, if the scout has the atomizer out, you can see that they have the atomizer out, so you know, oh, this guy can triple jump. Currently, you don't know. The scout might have the atomizer, and he might have a triple jump. He might not, so you don't know how many jumps he's got.
And the only way you could tell is if you saw him jumping, because the third jump produces a purple.
Yes, but you can't predict what he's going to do, because he might have you don't know how many jumps he's got. Whereas if they change it, if he whips out the atomizer, you're like, okay, he's got a third jump.
Yeah.
And why would you whip out the atomizer for any other reason? I guess
exactly.
You get the mini.
As a weapon, it's bad. For killing people and other things,
it does do the home
weapon.
run taunt, but
True, but
That's
the
not
Sandman
that's not
also.
relevant.
So, the main thing was that a very, very good scout can avoid taking a lot of damage due to his double jump. The triple jump basically means the scout doesn't take damage from enemies.
Protection
That's
from
insane.
enemies, as it were.
Yes, basically protection from enemies. So, yeah, triple jump is now only possible while the bat is deployed. That's the big change. But it no longer deals damage to you, and it swings at the same speed of the regular bat. So once every 0.35 seconds. Okay, great. For all that time, we're going to be getting into melee combat as a scout. Melee attacks while airborne now deal mini crits.
I don't know.
It's now a baby market gun.
Yeah, but it still doesn't do any damage.
Yeah,
Because it's a scout melee, so it does less damage anyway. It's only a mini
Yes.
crit, whereas the market gardener gets a full crit.
Yes, but
And you're a scout, you have a scattergun.
Yes, but they've reduced the damage penalty against players from 20% to 15%.
It also deploys 50% slower.
Yes.
It's not a market gardener. It's a,
That's not-
oh wait, I've already landed.
Yes. I understand these balance changes. I always have the atomizer equipped. Like my default scout loadout is scattergun, mad milk, atomizer, because the atomizer is just the best. Arguably the best. Like you can make a pretty strong case for it being the best. However, the flying guillotine has been changed because now the Sandman no longer stuns. There's not really any other reason to use it now.
Well, to be fair, it probably would still work considering Natasha works on it.
No. But they changed it now anyway.
Yes, but you say the Sandman doesn't stun, but I actually think that even if they hadn't changed the guillotine, the slow from the Sandman would still have triggered it. Wouldn't it?
Probably.
Because Natasha does.
Natasha does. Apparently, if you hit someone as they get air blasted, it also hits. It also works. Because
Of course.
high quality game.
Oh, I didn't auto-fire.
Okay. Okay. The main reason they cite this as an issue is because it's capable of high burst damage under what seems like random conditions. I mean, you do try and get those moments where you just stop. You're standing there doing something. A half a second later, you get hit by a Sandman baseball, and then you're dead because you just got hit for 150 out of nowhere. And like while the scout is good at high burst damage, his burst damage shouldn't be that high. That basically means you can get headshot at short range by a scout. So that's basically what the flying guillotine was. It was a sniper rifle that couldn't charge and could headshot.
It's already better than the Sydney Sleeper. It's already better than the classic.
That's not hard. Spoilers.
Let's be honest, the base jumper does more damage than the classic.
Spoilers. The classic hasn't been buffed. Maybe should be.
It's too broken.
So the goal is, with the flying guillotine changes, is to remove the feeling of randomness and reward accuracy. So now it no longer crits against stunned players. It no longer mini crits at long range. Instead, it still hits for 50 damage and it still bleeds for like 30, whatever it bleeds for. Either 30 or 60, I'm not quite sure. It doesn't matter because you always just kill people straight up with the 150 damage on it. So now at long range, the recharge time is reduced by 1.5 seconds, down from 6 seconds, and the range that is considered long range has been reduced by 50%.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I'm not very good at the guillotine.
Yeah. It's in. I think what this guillotine is an interesting weapon. Like, it's basically it is a one-shot weapon with a 6-second reload.
Yeah.
Like,
that's pretty bad when you put it like that.
that's what it is. But I think I think it was only good because the Sandman existed. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I ever used it outside. If I didn't have a Sandman, you have no reason to use the guillotine. but I think that's cool. Like, the fact that that exists, I think, is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Let me just get the damage. Bleeding does 40 damage total over 8 seconds. If a mini crit bleeds, it deals 54 instead, which it will do, because you can't get crit bleeding, but you can get mini crit bleeding. So, yeah. Flying guillotine changes. Makes me sad, but I think it's fair. I think they're kind of...
From my point of view, I don't think it deserved it, because I never found it to be particularly powerful, but that's mainly because I can't aim it.
I think it's... If they hadn't nerfed the Sandman...
I can see it being very, very powerful in the hands of somebody who's good at it. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
And from a competitive standpoint, people using it will be very good with it.
Yeah, if you're a good scout. If you...
you don't get bad players at high level competitive.
Yeah.
Because if you're bad, you don't get to high level competitive.
Unless you were those guys who were playing, like, some point last year, or I think a year or 2 years ago, there were those guys who, at high level, sniper turned out were actually hacking. I'm just going to mute myself for a second, because my cat wants to get in this very professional video.
Why are there so many missiles? Oh. Apparently my pilot's pretty sweet. Oh, I took down an anti-drone drone, because those were dangerous.
Okay, I am back. I now have a cat.
Need the fuel.
Okay, so the soldier, number two class, the soldier. The base jumper has been nerfed.
Yeah.
Apparently. My understanding is it's because it's... I'm not sure if it's banned in... Oh, by the way, for the atomizer is banned in Sixes and Highlander, even like across all leagues. And
it's incredibly satisfying when your crystal burst shoots down the enemy hull missile.
So the base jumper has been nerfed.
It doesn't need it.
Yeah, I mean,
it may well do, but I think they've done it wrong.
Yeah, because in the base jumper, you only ever use it unless you're using the airstrike, which is like it's designed to work with that, or you're playing like Trollger or whatever the troll version for the demo man is, and you can't even do that anymore because they nerfed the caber. So what's the point? So now it still like works the same. So you still have your parachute, but you can no longer. Your air control in the air is reduced by 50%, and you can only deploy the parachute once.
I don't like... we were thinking about this, we were talking about this, and one of the things that's very good about the base... I understand that apparently if you kind of keep deploying and retracting the base jumper, it makes you very hard to hit, because it's very hard to predict how fast you're falling.
Because the way the base jumper works, like the way it affects airspeed, if you are using, I think it's a combination of like crouch and redeploying their parachute and air strafing, you're basically impossible to hit, especially with. And the main thing is with projectile weapons, because if you see a pipe or something coming towards you, or a rocket, you can just retract the parachute, and then suddenly you're not going to get hit by it, and then redeploy it, and you're fine. That was the thing. That was the thing. It was projectile weapons in the base jumper. So your air control is reduced by 50%. You can only deploy it once. You proposed quite a good thing for it, which was reduced.
One of the things about the base jumper is that yes, you can use it to hover in mid-air, but the other thing you can do with it is it mitigates fall damage, because you can deploy it like just before you hit the ground, so that you don't take fall damage. And I appreciate that they're making it so that you can't keep deploying it. But I think it should reduce fall damage, or make it you don't take fall damage or something, so that maybe not you don't take it, but reduce fall damage so that it still fulfills that role.
Because I'm interested. One of the things I'm interested, if you did add that to the weapon, so now it reduces fall damage. Like, could you use it as a kind of pseudo gunboats? So you know how fall damage works. Fall damage is actually based on velocity, not distance.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
it just so happens that you reach full damage speed when you're high up. So, for example, if you, like, I've seen it before. I had it today, where if you get hit by an explosion above you and are forced down into the ground, you will take fall damage.
Well, the thing is, if you think about it, that actually makes perfect sense from a scientific point of view. That's how that makes sense.
But it is a bit weird if suddenly an explosion goes off like 6 feet above your head and you die from fall damage. It is a bit... What?
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an odd scenario.
But yeah.
Much like Stifle. It's an edge case.
Yeah. That was... that was interesting. I understand where we're coming from, but I don't think anyone else is. Okay, based on Berg, I'm intrigued. I mean, I get it. I understand why. But yeah, based on changes. But the man treads have been buffed.
Yes.
For the first time in, I think genuinely the first time in history, the man treads have been buffed. So now, the minus 75% push force. Sorry, the plus 75% push force reduction, which is apparently a different thing, now includes Pyro's Air Blast, which, why didn't it include that before?
Because it's a high quality game.
I don't know what, presumably the way it was handled by the game, it comes under something different, right?
Probably because whoever made the game is just a bit rubbish.
Yeah, that's true. And now you get 200% increased air control while airborne, while blast jumping. It seems good.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think the man tread's just such a...
Although I guess the increased air control will make it useful as just not just for stomping people. It will make it easier to stomp on people, but it will mean that it has uses other than stomping on people.
I mean, Valve recognised the fact that the aerial stomp, while cool, is basically incredibly rare.
Yeah.
I mean, because one of the Red Robot did a video about this quite a long time ago, talking about weapon buffs. Like, what if the man treads just gave you a base speed increase? Not by much, just by like 10%. Or is that too good?
Interesting.
Because if you're moving faster, you also rocket jump further, which is why the Conjurer is really good, because you get really far rocket jumps when it's active because of the speed boost.
Yes, makes sense.
In the same way on rollouts, what soldiers will do if they've got the whip, if they're giving people the
whip bonus.
If they're giving their teammates the whip bonus, they'll whip someone and then instantly swap to their rocket launcher and then get a further rocket jump. Yeah, man treads have got buffed. Great.
What is it with these enemies targeting my oxygen with literally everything? Sorry.
Okay, I'm trying to find Pyro in the list.
Have they updated Pyro? They have not.
Not at all.
Who's next? Demo hasn't done anything heavy.
Oh.
We've hit 43 minutes, so I propose that we wait.
Part 2. Okay. That's the offense classes. That's really quite convenient. That's the offense classes. Now we're moving on to the defensive classes.
Yes, I'm also almost at the end of a sector.
There might also be the support classes as well. While you finish up that sector, update me. What's going on?
On my run, I have Crystal Burst, Heavy Crystal. Obviously, I have a Charge Ion and an Ion Blast.
Okay, interesting.
As well as a Flak one.
You can just beat the flagship with that?
Just a Flak one. Well, no, I'm not using the Ion Blast. I'm sorry, I'm not using the Flak.
Flak 1 Crystal Burst. You could easily get. What sector are you in? 3?
Oh, I just found a Rebel. I don't even know what the event was, but I found a Rebel. Well, I'm Charge Ion, because I've got a max level of weapons to. Charge Ion can lock down shields on its own.
What sector are you in?
3, I think. 3, maybe 4.
Okay.
4, I think. Why do they have a shield overcharger?
What crew have you got? 2 humans, 2 crystals.
I've got 3. I just found another human.
What are you? You're still on weapons. I mean, are you going to try and go into boarding if you can?
I haven't got a teleporter.
But if you see one, do you think you'll go into it?
Probably.
Because what I've been trying to do recently is challenge myself by deliberately not picking up teleporters.
I mean, if this ship ever decides to get hit by an attack, it's just dodging everything. I'm having some slight fuel issues as well right now.
Why
do I have a spare power bar? Where the hell did I get that from? Guess what rating the engines? Oh, Rebel Stronghold or NG Homeworlds?
Stronghold. Yeah, of course, Stronghold, yeah. Get, flagship construction.
Yeah, anyway. That'll do for this video.
We'll see you for the
Martin,
second
say goodbye.
part. Bye.
He said goodbye. Don't know if you heard it. You should have done. You might be deaf. Anyway, yeah, goodbye.